Hey everybody, so here I'm back with the HP that was not booting up due to no hard drive present. So I did the backup. Then tested one of my solid state drives on it, and it booted up right away. I double checked the drive condition, everything passed. But when I was checking the drive, what I did notice that it did not have a UEFI partition, and that it was formatted to MBR. So that's kind of odd for this computer. I don't know, 8th generation. You would think it would be UEFI. So noticing that, I took a look at the BIOS, and the BIOS default is UEFI. Therefore, when it goes to boot up, it looks for the UEFI partition. It doesn't see it, and it just says basically no hard drive present. So change the configuration back to legacy mode, MBR mode, and the computer did boot back up. So unfortunately, the glitch is that maybe what happened, maybe the power went completely dead and it kind of got reset. Because basically here, once I took it apart and put it back together, everything was functioning. And of course, after I had already set it back to the MBR, which was booting, once I disconnect the power, the battery wasn't connected. I put everything back together, powered it back up. Obviously, it gives me the same error. So anytime that the computer loses, complete power, and the battery also is removed, being that these newer laptops are not, they just don't have a BIOS battery. In the older days, and some newer ones do, they normally have a little BIOS battery which keeps all that configuration information. Apparently the newer computers, they did away with that, and they're probably using the main battery. There's probably a little bit of storage on there that's reserved so it doesn't get used up. Otherwise, every time your battery died, you'd wind up, resetting your BIOS. So I'm guessing they're probably like a little reserved battery power for that kind of stuff. But in this case, maybe, something happened that the BIOS got reset. So it went into UEFI, and then, no drive present. So the way that I handled it is, you would say, well, we could have checked that first. Yeah, we could say that. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? But when you have an issue of a drive not present or failing, and there's data on there, before you start, fiddling around with stuff, the first thing you want to do is get the data backed up, and then after that, go back and then figure out what's going on. Because if you got a drive that's on its last leg, and then you put it in, and then you change the settings and it's not that, or maybe it got a little bit corrupt because of that, then it goes into a check disk, one of those check disks that takes an hour, and the next thing you know, from a drive that may have been recoverable on its last leg, then it could completely die, and then now no data. So it's always recommended, no matter what the situation, before you mess around with a computer, if you need your data, back it up before you start fiddling around with it. So that's the situation here. I went to Windows has a program called MBR2GPT. It's built into Windows. So I try to run that to convert to GPT, but it did give me an error. So it's something that spending some more time that could be resolved. But in this case, since we did all the other things, and I'm not going to spend another hour on that, the computer, doesn't lose power. That's not going to happen anymore. So it's good to go. That's what's going on right here, right now at PC 911.